On the distant planet of Xylaris, the sun shone brightly over a landscape filled with vibrant colors and strange creatures. Towering mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks touching the sky, while lush forests teemed with life. The Xylari, the planet's inhabitants, were powerful beings with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. They were known for their advanced technology and magical abilities, ruling their world with confidence and pride. Despite their power, the Xylari held a deep-seated belief that humans were weak and insignificant. They often laughed at the idea of humans being capable of anything beyond their simple lives on Earth. To the Xylari, humans were nothing more than a distant curiosity, a species to be studied but never taken seriously. This attitude was evident in the grand halls of the Xylari Council, where discussions about intergalactic matters took place. The council members would often dismiss any mention of humans with a wave of their hands, believing that they were far too primitive to be of any concern. In a small village on the outskirts of Xylaris, a young human named Ethan lived a quiet life. He had always been fascinated by the stories of the Xylari and their legendary demon goddess, who was said to grant 3 wishes to those brave enough to seek her out. Ethan had grown up hearing tales of the goddess, who resided in the mountains, surrounded by mystery and magic. Many had tried to find her, but none had succeeded. The stories filled Ethan with a sense of wonder and adventure, and he dreamed of one day making the journey himself. One evening, as Ethan sat by the fire, he listened to the elders of his village recount the legend once more. "The demon goddess is powerful and wise," one elder said, his voice low and serious. "But she is also dangerous. Many have sought her out, but few have returned. It is said that she tests the hearts of those who come to her." Ethan felt a thrill of excitement at the thought of the goddess. He believed that if he could find her, he could change the way the Xylari viewed humans. He wanted to show them that humanity was capable of greatness, that they could be more than just a curiosity. With determination in his heart, he decided that he would embark on the journey to find the demon goddess. The next morning, Ethan packed a small bag with essentials: food, water, and a map he had drawn from the stories he had heard. He set off toward the mountains, his heart racing with anticipation. As he walked, he thought about the challenges he might face and the wonders he might see. The path was steep and rocky, but Ethan pressed on, fueled by his dreams of adventure. As he climbed higher, the air grew cooler and the landscape changed. The vibrant colors of the forests gave way to rugged cliffs and rocky outcrops. Ethan felt a sense of awe as he looked around, realizing that he was entering a world unlike any he had ever known. He could hear the distant sounds of creatures calling to one another, and the wind whispered secrets of the mountains. After hours of climbing, Ethan finally reached a plateau where he could rest. He sat down, catching his breath, and looked out over the vast expanse of Xylaris. The view was breathtaking, and for a moment he felt a deep connection to the planet and its beauty. But as he gazed into the distance, he noticed something strange: a dark cloud swirling above the highest peak. It seemed to pulse with energy, and Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. "What is that?" he wondered aloud, his curiosity piqued. He knew that the cloud must be connected to the demon goddess, and he felt a pull to investigate further. With renewed determination, Ethan stood up and continued his journey toward the mountain's summit. Little did he know that his quest would not only test his courage but also challenge the very beliefs of the Xylari. As he ventured deeper into the unknown, the fate of both humans and Xylari would soon be intertwined in ways he could never have imagined. The winds howled around him, whispering secrets of the past, and as he took a deep breath, he felt a sense of destiny guiding him forward. Ethan continued his ascent up the mountain, the air growing thinner and cooler with each step. The dark cloud above the peak loomed closer, swirling ominously as if it were alive. He felt a mix of excitement and fear, knowing that he was getting closer to the legendary demon goddess. The stories he had heard filled his mind, and he wondered what she would be like. Would she be as powerful and fearsome as the tales suggested? As he climbed, Ethan suddenly heard voices echoing through the rocky terrain. He paused, crouching behind a large boulder to listen. To his surprise, he saw a group of Xylari warriors approaching. They were tall and imposing, their skin shimmering in the sunlight. Ethan's heart raced. He had heard stories of the Xylari, but he had never seen them up close. They were known for their strength and magical abilities, and he felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. The warriors were discussing something in hushed tones, their expressions serious. "We must find the human before he reaches the goddess," one of them said, his voice deep and commanding. "If he succeeds, it could change everything." Ethan's mind raced. They were talking about him. He realized that the Xylari were not just dismissive of humans. They were actively trying to stop him. He felt a surge of determination. He could not let them thwart his quest. He had to find the goddess and prove that humans were capable of greatness. As the warriors moved closer, Ethan quickly decided to take a different path. He slipped away from the boulder and began to climb a steep slope that led to a narrow ledge. The ledge was precarious, but he knew he had to take the risk. He could hear the warriors behind him, their voices growing louder as they searched for him. "Split up," one of the warriors commanded. "He cannot have gone far." Ethan's heart raced as he carefully made his way along the ledge. He could see the dark cloud swirling above the peak, and he felt a pull toward it. He knew he had to reach the top before the Xylari caught up to him. With each step, he focused on his goal, pushing aside his fear. Suddenly, he heard a loud shout from below. "There he is!" one of the warriors yelled. Ethan glanced back and saw two Xylari climbing up the slope after him. Panic surged through him, and he quickened his pace, scrambling up the rocky path. As he reached the top of the ledge, he found himself standing on a flat surface that overlooked a vast valley. The view was breathtaking, but there was no time to admire it. He could hear the warriors closing in, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Ethan took a deep breath and pressed on, determined to reach the goddess. Just as he approached the final stretch leading to the peak, he felt a sudden rush of wind. The dark cloud above him began to swirl faster, and he could see flashes of light within it. Ethan's heart raced as he realized that he was close to the goddess. He could feel her power in the air, and it both excited and terrified him. As he reached the summit, he stepped into a clearing surrounded by ancient stones. In the center stood the demon goddess, her form both beautiful and intimidating. She was cloaked in shadows, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine as he gazed at her. "Who dares to approach me?" The goddess's voice boomed, echoing through the clearing. Ethan's heart raced, but he stood tall, determined to speak. "I am Ethan, a human from Earth," he declared, his voice steady despite his fear. "I seek your power to protect my people and show the Xylari that we are not weak." The goddess's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, silence filled the air. Ethan could feel the weight of her gaze upon him, and he wondered if he had made a mistake. Would she dismiss him like the others? Would she see him as just another foolish human? But then, to his surprise, the goddess smiled. A small, enigmatic smile that sent a chill down his spine. "You are brave, human, but bravery alone will not be enough. You must prove your worth." Ethan felt a surge of hope. This was his chance. He had come so far, and he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Xylari warriors, still searching for him, were now a distant concern. He had to focus on the goddess and the trials she would set before him. "Tell me what I must do," he said, his voice filled with determination. The goddess nodded, and the air around them crackled with energy. Ethan knew that his journey was just beginning, and he was ready to embrace the challenges that awaited him. Ethan stood before the demon goddess, his heart pounding in his chest. The air around them shimmered with energy, and he could feel the weight of her gaze. She was both beautiful and terrifying, a being of immense power. He had come seeking her strength, but now he realized that he would have to prove himself worthy of it. The goddess raised her hand, and the swirling dark cloud above them began to settle. "You wish to protect your people," she said, her voice echoing like thunder. "But to gain my power, you must first face 3 trials. Each trial will test your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Only then will you be deemed worthy." Ethan nodded, determination filling him. I accept your challenge. I will do whatever it takes. Very well, the goddess replied, her eyes glinting with interest. The first trial will test your courage. You must face your greatest fear. With a wave of her hand, the ground beneath Ethan shifted, and he found himself standing in a dark, misty forest. The trees loomed tall and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. A chill ran down his spine as he realized he was alone. The mist wrapped around him, making it hard to see. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He had always been afraid of the dark, of the unknown lurking within it. But he knew he had to confront this fear if he wanted to succeed. He stepped forward, his footsteps echoing in the silence. As he moved deeper into the forest, strange sounds filled the air, whispers, rustling leaves, and distant growls. Each noise made his heart race faster. He could feel the fear creeping in, but he pushed it aside. He had to be brave. Suddenly, a shadow darted past him, and Ethan froze. His heart pounded in his chest as he turned to see a large creature emerging from the mist. It had glowing eyes and sharp claws, its form shifting and changing as it approached. Ethan felt a surge of panic, but he remembered the reason he was here. He was fighting for his people, and he could not let fear control him. "Stay back!" he shouted, trying to sound brave. The creature paused, its eyes narrowing as it studied him. Ethan took a step forward, his voice steadying. "I am not afraid of you. I will face my fears." To his surprise, the creature stopped moving. It seemed to sense his determination. Slowly, it began to dissolve into the mist, leaving Ethan standing alone once more. He had faced his fear and emerged victorious. The darkness around him began to lift, and he felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. With a flash, Ethan was back in the clearing with the goddess. She regarded him with a mixture of surprise and respect. "You have shown courage, human, but the next trial will be even more difficult. It will test your mind." The ground shifted again, and Ethan found himself in a vast library filled with towering shelves of books. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, and the silence was almost deafening. In the center of the room stood a large table with a single book open on it. "This book contains the knowledge of the Xylari," the goddess explained. "You must solve the riddle within its pages to pass this trial. But be warned, if you fail, you will be trapped in this library forever." Ethan approached the table, his heart racing. He focused on the words in the book, trying to decipher the riddle. It was complex, filled with metaphors and references to Xylari history. He felt overwhelmed, but he reminded himself of his purpose. He was fighting for his people, and he could not give up. As he read, he began to piece together the clues. The riddle spoke of unity, strength, and the bond between different worlds. Ethan realized that the answer lay not just in knowledge but in understanding. He thought of the Xylari and how they viewed humans. They had underestimated humanity's potential, and he needed to show them that they could work together. With newfound clarity, Ethan wrote down his answer. "The strength of two worlds united is greater than the power of one." As he spoke the words aloud, the book glowed with light, and the library began to fade away. Once again, Ethan found himself back in the clearing. The goddess looked at him with a hint of approval. "You have shown wisdom, human, but the final trial will test your spirit. Prepare yourself." Ethan felt a mix of excitement and fear. He had faced his fears and proven his mind, but he knew the last trial would be the most challenging yet. He was ready to confront whatever lay ahead, determined to show the Xylari that humanity was capable of greatness. The journey was far from over, but he felt stronger than ever, fueled by the hope of a brighter future for both humans and Xylari. Ethan stood in the clearing, his heart racing as the demon goddess prepared to reveal the final trial. The air crackled with energy, and he could feel the weight of her gaze upon him. He had faced his fears and proven his mind, but now he would have to confront something deeper, his spirit. "Are you ready for the final trial?" the goddess asked, her voice echoing like thunder. Ethan nodded, determination shining in his eyes. He had come too far to turn back now. With a wave of her hand, the clearing transformed. The vibrant colors faded, and Ethan found himself standing in a desolate landscape. The sky was dark and stormy, and the ground was cracked and barren. A chilling wind whipped around him, carrying whispers of despair. Ethan felt a knot of fear tighten in his stomach. This was not just a test of strength or knowledge. It was a test of his very soul. In the distance, he saw a figure standing alone. As he approached, he realized it was a young girl, no older than 10. She was crying, her small frame shaking with sobs. Ethan's heart ached at the sight. He knelt beside her, trying to comfort her. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. "I'm lost," she replied, her voice trembling. "I can't find my way home. I'm scared." Ethan felt a wave of compassion wash over him. He knew that this was part of the trial. The goddess was testing his ability to empathize and connect with others. "You're not alone," he said softly. "I will help you find your way home." The girl looked up at him, her eyes filled with hope. "Really? You would help me?" "Of course," Ethan replied, feeling a sense of purpose. "Let's find your home together." As they began to walk, the landscape around them shifted. The dark clouds loomed overhead, and the wind howled, but Ethan focused on the girl beside him. He could feel her fear, and he wanted to ease it. "What's your name?" he asked, trying to distract her from the storm. "Lila," she said, wiping her tears. "I was playing with my friends, and then I got lost. I don't know how to get back." Ethan nodded, understanding her fear. "We'll find your friends. Just hold on to my hand, and we'll get through this together." As they walked, Ethan felt a strange energy building around them. The storm seemed to respond to their emotions, swirling more violently as Lila's fear grew. He realized that the darkness was feeding off her despair. He had to help her find strength. "Lila," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "You are stronger than you think. You have the courage to face this. Let's take a deep breath together." They paused, and Ethan took a deep breath, encouraging Lila to do the same. Slowly, she inhaled, and as they exhaled together, the storm began to calm. The dark clouds started to dissipate, revealing patches of blue sky. "See," Ethan said, smiling at her. "You can do this. We just need to believe in ourselves." With each step, Lila's confidence grew. The landscape transformed around them, becoming brighter and more vibrant. Flowers bloomed along the path, and the air filled with the sweet scent of blossoms. Ethan felt a sense of joy as he watched Lila's spirit lift. Suddenly, they reached a clearing where a group of children played. Lila's eyes lit up with recognition. "That's them. Those are my friends," she exclaimed, running toward them. Ethan watched as Lila reunited with her friends, their laughter ringing through the air. He felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that he had helped her find her way. But as he turned to leave, the ground beneath him began to tremble. The demon goddess appeared before him, her expression serious. "You have shown great compassion, Ethan. You have faced your spirit and helped another in need. But there is one final lesson you must learn." Ethan felt a mix of anticipation and fear. "What is it?" he asked, ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. "The strength of humanity lies not only in courage and wisdom, but also in the bonds you create with others," the goddess explained. "You must learn to trust and rely on those around you." With that, the landscape shifted once more, and Ethan found himself back in the clearing where he had first met the goddess. She regarded him with a newfound respect. "You have completed the trials, but your journey is not over. You must now return to your world and share what you have learned." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. He had faced his fears, proven his mind, and connected with another soul. He was ready to show the Xylari that humanity was capable of greatness. The goddess smiled, and for the first time, he saw warmth in her eyes. "Go now, Ethan. Your people await you," she said, her voice filled with encouragement. As she waved her hand, a portal opened before him, shimmering with light. Ethan took a deep breath, stepping forward with confidence. He was ready to embrace his destiny and change the way the universe viewed humanity. Ethan stepped through the shimmering portal, feeling a rush of energy as he was transported back to Earth. The familiar sights and sounds of his village surrounded him, but everything felt different now. He had faced the trials of the demon goddess, and he was no longer the same person. He felt stronger, wiser, and ready to share his experiences with others. As he walked through the village, he noticed the worried faces of his friends and family. They had been anxious about his journey, unsure if he would return. Ethan approached a group of villagers gathered near the central square, their expressions a mix of relief and curiosity. "Ethan!" his friend Sarah exclaimed, rushing toward him. "You're back. We were so worried." "I'm okay," Ethan replied, smiling. "I have so much to tell you all." The villagers gathered around him, eager to hear about his adventure. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their expectations. He knew he had to convey the importance of what he had learned. "I met the demon goddess," he began, and gasps of disbelief filled the air. "She tested me with 3 trials, and I learned that humanity is capable of great strength, wisdom, and compassion." As he shared his experiences, Ethan could see the skepticism in some of their eyes. They had always viewed humans as weak, and the idea of facing a powerful being like the goddess seemed far-fetched. But Ethan was determined to change their minds. "We can't let fear hold us back," he urged. "We have to show the Xylari that we are more than they think." Just then, a loud rumble echoed through the village. The ground shook, and the villagers looked around in alarm. Ethan's heart raced as he realized that the Xylari were approaching. He had sensed their presence during his trials, and now they were here, their powerful forms looming on the horizon. The Xylari warriors marched into the village, their eyes scanning the crowd. Ethan felt a surge of fear, but he remembered the lessons he had learned. He had to stand strong for his people. "Everyone, stay calm," he said, raising his voice to be heard over the growing panic. "We can face this together." The Xylari warriors halted at the edge of the village, their expressions unreadable. One of them stepped forward, a tall figure with shimmering skin and piercing eyes. "We have come to speak with the human who sought the demon goddess," he announced, his voice deep and commanding. Ethan stepped forward, his heart pounding. "That's me," he said, trying to sound confident. "I sought the goddess to prove that humanity is strong and capable." The Xylari warrior regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "You believe you can change our views of your kind?" he asked, his tone challenging. "Yes," Ethan replied, feeling the weight of the moment. "I faced the trials, and I learned that strength comes from within. We can work together, humans and Xylari, to create a better future." The warrior's eyes narrowed, and Ethan could sense the tension in the air. The villagers watched in silence, their hopes resting on his words. "You must show us," the warrior said finally. "Words alone will not convince us." Ethan took a deep breath, knowing that this was his chance to prove himself. "Then let's work together," he proposed. "Let's find a way to unite our worlds. We can share our knowledge and learn from each other." The Xylari warrior hesitated, and Ethan could see the doubt in his eyes. But then, something shifted. The warrior glanced back at his fellow Xylari, who were watching intently. Ethan could feel the weight of their expectations as well. They had come to see what humanity was capable of, and he had to show them. "Very well," the warrior said, his voice steady. "We will give you a chance. But know this, if you fail, the consequences will be dire." Ethan nodded, determination flooding through him. "I won't fail. Together we can achieve great things." As the Xylari warriors began to lower their weapons, Ethan felt a wave of relief wash over him. The villagers erupted in cheers, their fear turning to hope. They had witnessed a moment of unity, and for the first time, they believed that a partnership between humans and Xylari was possible. Ethan turned to his friends, their faces filled with pride. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "We will show the Xylari that humanity is strong, and together, we can create a brighter future." With renewed determination, Ethan stepped forward, ready to embrace the challenges ahead. The journey was far from over, but he felt a sense of unity and purpose. He was no longer just a human seeking approval. He was a bridge between two worlds, ready to change the course of history. The atmosphere in the village was charged with excitement and uncertainty. Ethan stood at the forefront, flanked by the Xylari warriors and his fellow villagers. The moment felt monumental, a turning point that could change everything. He could see the hope in the eyes of his friends and family, but he also sensed the skepticism lingering among the Xylari. They were powerful beings, and their trust would not come easily. Ethan took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "We need to start by understanding each other," he said, addressing both the villagers and the Xylari. "Let's share our knowledge, our cultures, and our strengths. Together, we can create something amazing." The Xylari warrior who had first spoken stepped forward. "We are willing to listen, human, but you must show us that your kind is worth our trust. We will not simply take your word for it." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of the challenge. "Then let's begin with a demonstration. I propose a friendly competition, a series of challenges that showcase both human and Xylari skills. This way, we can learn from each other and build respect." The Xylari warrior considered Ethan's proposal, his expression thoughtful. "A competition could be interesting, but it must be fair. We will not hold back, and neither should you." "Agreed," Ethan replied, his heart racing with excitement. "Let's set the date for tomorrow. We can prepare and gather everyone to witness this event." As the sun began to set, the villagers and Xylari warriors started to disperse, each group buzzing with anticipation. Ethan felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He knew that this competition could either bridge the gap between their worlds or deepen the divide. He had to make it work. That night, Ethan gathered his friends to discuss strategies. "We need to showcase our strengths," he said, pacing back and forth. "We can demonstrate our creativity, teamwork, and resilience. We have to show the Xylari that we are capable of more than they think." Sarah, one of his closest friends, chimed in. "What if we include a challenge that highlights our problem-solving skills? We can create a puzzle that requires both human and Xylari teamwork to solve." "That's a great idea," Ethan exclaimed. "We can also include physical challenges that test our endurance and strength. We need to show them that we can hold our own." As they brainstormed, the excitement in the room grew. They worked late into the night, planning and preparing for the competition. Ethan felt a sense of unity among his friends, and he knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next day, the village square was transformed into a vibrant arena. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, and villagers gathered to watch the event unfold. The Xylari warriors stood tall, their expressions serious but curious. Ethan could feel the weight of their expectations, and he was determined to make a good impression. As the competition began, Ethan and his friends faced a series of challenges. The first was a physical race, where humans and Xylari teamed up to navigate an obstacle course. Ethan paired with a Xylari warrior named Kale, who was strong and agile. Together, they worked seamlessly, combining their strengths to overcome each obstacle. Next came the puzzle challenge, where teams had to solve a complex riddle that required both human creativity and Xylari logic. Ethan's team worked together, brainstorming ideas and encouraging one another. They finally cracked the riddle, and the cheers from the crowd filled the air. As the competition continued, Ethan could see the Xylari warriors beginning to change. They were impressed by the humans' determination and teamwork. The atmosphere shifted from skepticism to respect, and Ethan felt a surge of hope. The final challenge was a test of endurance, a long-distance race through the forest. Ethan and Kale ran side by side, pushing each other to keep going. As they crossed the finish line, the crowd erupted in applause. It was a moment of triumph, not just for Ethan and his friends, but for both humans and Xylari. As the dust settled, the Xylari warrior who had first spoken stepped forward once more. "You have shown us your strength, creativity, and spirit," he said, his voice filled with newfound respect. "We have underestimated you, and for that, we apologize. Perhaps there is more to humanity than we believed. Ethan felt a wave of relief wash over him. This was the breakthrough moment he had hoped for. Together, we can achieve great things, he replied, his voice steady. Let's continue to learn from each other and build a future where both our worlds can thrive. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Ethan felt a sense of unity that he had never experienced before. The competition had not only showcased their strengths but had also forged a bond between humans and Xylery. As he looked around at the smiling faces, he knew that they were on the path to something extraordinary, a partnership that would change the course of their histories forever. The atmosphere in the village was electric with excitement and newfound hope. Ethan stood at the center of the square, surrounded by both humans and Xylery. The cheers from the crowd echoed in his ears, and he felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. The competition had been a success, and it had brought their two worlds closer together. As the celebrations continued, Ethan noticed the Xylery warrior, Kale, approaching him. Kale's expression was serious, but there was a glimmer of respect in his eyes. "You have proven yourself today, human," he said, his voice deep and steady. "Your people have shown great strength and unity. We have much to learn from you." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth in his heart. "Thank you, Kale. It means a lot to hear that from you. I believe that together, we can achieve even greater things." Kale nodded, and Ethan could see the wheels turning in his mind. "We should establish a council," Kale suggested. "A place where both humans and Xylery can come together to discuss ideas, share knowledge, and work on projects that benefit both our worlds." Ethan's eyes lit up at the idea. "That's a fantastic plan. A council would help us build a strong partnership and ensure that our voices are heard. We can create a bridge between our cultures." As they spoke, the villagers gathered around, eager to hear about the new initiative. Ethan shared Kale's idea, and the crowd erupted in applause. The prospect of a council excited everyone, and they began to discuss how it could be organized. Ideas flowed freely, and Ethan felt a sense of unity among the people. Later that evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ethan found a quiet spot on a hill overlooking the village. He took a moment to reflect on everything that had happened. Just days ago, he had been a young man with a dream, seeking the approval of the powerful Xylery. Now, he had forged a connection between their worlds, and he felt a sense of purpose. As he gazed at the stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky, he thought about the lessons he had learned from the demon goddess. Courage, wisdom, and compassion had guided him through his trials, and now they would guide him as he helped build a new future. He realized that the journey was not just about proving humanity's worth. It was about creating a world where both humans and Xylery could thrive together. The next day, the villagers and Xylery gathered to discuss the formation of the council. They decided to hold regular meetings where they could share ideas and work on projects that would benefit both communities. Ethan felt a surge of excitement as he listened to the plans being made. They discussed everything from education to trade, and the possibilities seemed endless. As the weeks passed, the council began to take shape. Humans and Xylery worked side by side, sharing their knowledge and skills. They learned from each other's strengths, and the bond between their worlds grew stronger. Ethan felt proud to be a part of this transformation, and he knew that they were building something special. One day, as Ethan walked through the village, he noticed a group of children playing together, both human and Xylery. They laughed and shared stories, their differences forgotten in the joy of friendship. Ethan smiled, realizing that this was the future he had hoped for. The next generation would grow up knowing that they were stronger together, and that understanding and cooperation were the keys to a brighter future. As he continued his walk, Ethan encountered Kale, who was overseeing a project to build a new school for both humans and Xylery. "We are making great progress," Kale said, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "This school will be a place where our children can learn from each other and grow together." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of pride. "It's amazing to see how far we've come. I never imagined that we could achieve this in such a short time." Kale smiled. "It is a testament to the strength of our partnership. Together, we can accomplish anything." As the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the village. Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had faced challenges, learned valuable lessons, and helped create a bridge between two worlds. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. In that moment, Ethan understood that true strength came not from power or dominance, but from compassion, understanding, and the willingness to work together. He looked forward to the future, knowing that with unity, anything was possible. The bond between humans and Xylari would continue to grow, and together, they would create a legacy of hope and cooperation for generations to come.